Now YouTube should understand that I have clothes on, but oh, I need to zoom out a little, or maybe just that better. This is probably going to be a bit of a noisy video due to the fact that it is really noisy in my area right now, and I can't wait till it's not noisy because it simply won't be. Also, I do apologize. It's been a bit. First of all, I just wasn't up to filming or anything during the heat wave. I don't know how anyone did anything other than what I absolutely had to do with work and that kind of stuff. I just couldn't function. But I have been promising the mid-year freak out video, so that's what this is. Also, I do just want to say a quick disclaimer that I am quite busy at the moment, so I might post a little bit more sporadically for the next couple weeks, but then it should be back to a normal weekly schedule, as well as I am still working on doing some bookstore interview videos. You might be able to see my trolley in this, and it's fine. But let me just get into the tag. The first question is the big one. Best book I've read so far in 2026, which it's really hard to narrow down to one. I have had a much better reading year this year. I'm currently reading Piranesi. That's what's holding my microphone. I really liked the Emily Henry books I read this year. I was introduced to Emily Henry this year, even though obviously she's not new. Oh my god, I loved Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. Thinking, what else did I read this year? But yeah, Piranesi. I'm also reading Convenience Store Woman from the book library. Yeah, it's been a really good reading year. So I've listened to a lot of good audiobooks as well. How to Be Anti-Racist, Unapologetic. I really enjoyed by Jeanette McCurdy, I'm Glad My Mom Died. That was a really interesting listen. Yeah, I'm blanking, but there's been so many. I've had a really decent, there's only been a couple DNFs this year. Most of them I've at least liked, but there's been, like I said, I loved quite a few. Girl Dinner was another one that it surprised me. I really liked that one as well. The next question is new releases you haven't read yet but really want to. Yesteryear keeps getting recommended to me. I do have it on hold at the library, but it's not available until October, so that's gonna be a minute. So that's a new release that I haven't gotten to. I still haven't read, this is a new release from a bit ago, I think 2 years now maybe, The Night and the Moth. So I still have to read that because I know a new one's coming out in September, I believe. The Isle in the Silver Sea I think might have come out this year, or maybe the end of last year. I still have to read that. So there are quite a few new releases that have been recommended that I've not read yet. But listen, I've had a lot of recommendations and a lot that have just piqued my interest that I gotta get through. The next question is best sequel you've read in 2026, and I don't think I've read a sequel this year. I know I have somewhere on the shelf Harrow the Ninth that I have to get to, I have to read, so that will hopefully be the best sequel I read this year. Maybe it'll be the best sequel I read this year because Holly Black is releasing another Folk of the Air, another Elfheim book, and clearly, as we know, that is my favorite series of all time, especially fantasy. It did. Hello? I was gonna say it does kind of compete with One Dark Window, but that I would say is more my favorite duology. Folk of the Air will always, I think, be my favorite series, so that might be the best sequel I read this year, but I also have to read Harrow the Ninth. Obviously, we'll come back at the end of the year. I could have completely different answers than what I'm predicting, but I haven't read a sequel yet. The next question is most anticipated releases for the second half of the year. I did just kind of answer that with Holly Black's new book coming out, new Elfheim story, Carden and Jude story. I'm so excited. I haven't pre-ordered because I like to shop at, I was gonna say used bookstores, which I do like to shop at used bookstores, but I also like to shop indie bookstores. Of course, Waterstones has a special edition, so I might this one time do that. I mean, I'm not, like I said, I shop at Waterstones sometimes, and I don't fault people for shopping at these bigger bookstores sometimes, but I might have to pre-order that Waterstone special edition one of these days. I'm waiting. I'm thinking about it. Also, that's the only release I think I know about. That's the only release that's coming to mind at the minute. The only, like I said, I believe there's another Rachel Gillick book in the Night and the Moth series coming out in September, but of course I haven't read the first one. I do just kind of expect myself to like it because I do really like her writing, and I have not heard a bad review of it, so in a way I'm anticipating that, but I still need to read The Night and the Moth first. The next question is biggest disappointment of the year, and this is what I was saying, I've not really had any books that I've not liked. Even the DNF ones, it's not even I necessarily didn't like it. Fabon isn't so much a disappointment, it's kind of complicated reason why I DNF'd it, and I'm gonna do a June reading wrap up still, even though it is July when I'm posting this. I'm gonna try to post again in a few days a June reading wrap up where I will talk more about why I DNF'd Feybound, but I've not really had disappointments, to be fair, because wait, there might have been one. Hold on, let me look on Storygraph, because I'm thinking of, listen. Yeah, oh, Fake Dates and Mooncakes was probably, it is a queer romance that it was just like, it was insta lust, even insta feelings, insta romance, I should say, that just like didn't do it for me. That never really does it for me unless it's like a reconnection story, because that makes sense for it to be like instant in the sense that their feelings just never went away. Yeah, that's it though. Like I said, thankfully it's been a pretty good reading year so far. So the next question is most surprising books of the year. First, Girl Dinner. I had read some mixed reviews about it, but I really enjoyed it, and I was very surprised by how much I enjoyed it, how much I got into it, was very much sucked in, like did not want to stop reading type of book, and how much it kind of stuck with me for like at least a few days after, where I was still really thinking about it. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil was another one I was surprised by, because I do like V.E. Schwab's writing. Like I liked Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, but I loved Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, and I was surprised by that. I think it's really surprising me that I like thriller, horror, that kind of stuff, because it does scare me. Like I was unsettled by, I think, both of the books. I think even more so by Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I was like very deeply, like I felt the writing to be so evocative that I was like struggling to sleep after. But I was so into it. I liked, even though obviously it disrupted my sleep, I really liked how much I was feeling. That's weird to say, isn't it? Like how much I was feeling unsettled, but it's more so that I liked how evocative it was and how deeply, I want to say connected, but I also don't, like, not in the sense that I didn't really relate to the story, but I don't have to. Controversial opinion, I don't think stories have to be relatable, because you should be reading diverse and read stories that you don't relate to so you can step into other people's shoes and all that stuff. So quick tangent on that, but I just liked how in that sense I deeply connected the story because the way it really pulled me in. Then favorite new author, I don't think I've read anyone new this year, like anyone that's done a debut. I've read new authors that I haven't read before. Like I said, Emily Henry I hadn't read before this year, and I'm gonna keep reading Emily Henry romances. Something I've talked about quite a few times on this channel is how disappointed I have been by contemporary romance, and I enjoy her writing. As well as I have said, I like Ali Hazelwood as well, but Emily Henry I think has kind of reignited my love for contemporary romance, so I'm gonna keep reading her books. I should say heterosexual contemporary romance, because so much of it is like grossly heteronormative and like gender conforming and gender essentialist even, that it just yucks. It just is icky, and also the writing I don't find to be very compelling or anything like that, but with Emily Henry I have. So for me, I have read quite a few authors that I've not read before that I've really liked, but I'll probably list her for my answer to this question just because it reignited my love for contemporary romance. Sounded a little bit like Scooby-Doo there, I think. Newest fictional crush. I don't think I have a new book crush. The character, because the next question is newest favorite character, so I guess like to like put both these together, the one I've been like most into lately is Supergirl after seeing the Supergirl film, which I know is controversial. A lot of people, like, it's not getting the best reviews, but I really enjoyed it, and I just think Supergirl is super cool, and I will fight everyone who's saying Millie Alcock is not attractive. Like, are you, well, it's, first of all, shut up. Like, why are people so comfortable being so rude about people's appearances? Someone's car alarm's going off, and I hope it stops so I can continue this video without having to have a car alarm in the background. Okay, this car alarm's been going off for like 20 minutes again. I said at the beginning it's gonna be a noisy video. There's been a lot of very random and loud noises in my area as of late. Again, this is a temporary space, so not something we're gonna have to deal with for much longer, but I apologize for that car alarm. Hopefully my mic, given that it's a radio loft mic, whatever you want to call it, isn't picking it up as much, but it's very loud. And what I was saying was Millie Alcock is insanely attractive, so all of the hate that she's getting online for that is my guess is it's Republicans because someone was like, like an AI picture of Sydney Sweeney as Supergirl, and they're like what we wanted versus what we got, and it was like a screen grab of Millie Alcock like mid talking, so like eyes half closed, like mouth in a weird like you know, motion, whatever. So it's like, first of all, weird comparison to do. Second of all, of course you want Trump supporting Sydney Sweeney. Anyway, a book that made me cry. I cry again at the like so easily in media. I cried 4 times during Supergirl, which obviously that's not a book, but I think for a book that made me cry, so many. Like, I'm not that far into Pure and Essie yet, but I don't know, because I know, like, I do kind of agree with the people saying like, oh, it's very much like vibes. There is a plot, I think. I do. It's not like a classically structured plot. So I don't know if this is necessarily going to make me cry. It has, like I said, probably the most evocative was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil. I, again, don't know if I really cried reading that. I can't recall. And I can't recall if I cried reading Girl Dinner either. But those were the ones that I think would be most likely to. If not, I think the romances, I probably did tear up a little bit as well, just because they're touching. But I haven't had any book this year that I genuinely recall, like with Hamnet last year, like really truly crying. A book that made you happy. Even the like scary emotional ones, everything has made me happy in the sense that I have enjoyed them. At least all the books that I've like finished and that kind of stuff. The first one coming to mind, and it could be because it has happy in the name, Happy Place. All the romances are gonna make me happy as well. Oh my god, the car alarm stopped. But the book that made me happy, again, the biggest one coming to mind is Happy Place, and again, it's probably because of happy in the name. See, the thing with the thrillers and like horrors, obviously happy isn't the first emotion coming to mind and the first emotion that it made me feel or anything like that. The biggest, I should say. But like I said, I'm happy overall with how much I've been liking these books. It's just I've not read a ton that are just like their main emotion is very happy and joyful and that kind of stuff. So the only ones coming to mind are the romances. But yeah. Favorite book to movie adaptation. I don't think I've watched any. Oh, I did watch The People We Meet on Vacation, which I thought was fine. I liked the book better, and I'm not like a book elitist in that way. It could be because I just read it, and I was talking with someone about this recently, that it's just like the films don't get the depth of the book when they try to see. The thing is, I actually kind of prefer when they don't adapt it as faithfully to the book, because it is a new medium, and when they try to do it as faithfully to the book, then it is just not as deep and doesn't have the character developments and all that kind of stuff that the book is going to, because they can't. So I'd rather you make it a new medium where you can condense that story and make it still have the depth. So that's another controversial take, but that's the only one I think I watched. I haven't seen, I mean, obviously like Supergirl's a comic book, but I've not read the comics. Yeah, and I haven't seen a ton of, I've only watched like 20 films this year, so that could also be why. The next question is favorite book review you've posted this year. I've not posted any like very specific in the way that I have before, like series review or anything like that. So I'm gonna have to say like just the monthly reading wrap-ups. I feel like I've gotten really into a groove and a formula with those that has made it easier to do those and actually give in a way, in-depth review, and one that really highlights how I feel in my reading experience with still being spoiler-free. So, most beautiful books you have bought this year. Give me a second to get them off the shelf. I am just gonna show this one. I think this is probably the prettiest. I mean, I do like Second Death of Locke, my copy of that, but I got this at a used bookstore, this very beautiful copy of Dracula that I do not own Dracula, or I didn't before having this, so I think that was probably the most beautiful, and especially as a used book that I've purchased this year. I think I purchased it in January. And then the last question is, what books do you need to read by the end of this year? And the answer is a lot. I mean, there's books on the shelf that I have already read, but there are so like Dracula, but there are so many. Second Death of Locke. I've mentioned Harold the Ninth. I've mentioned I have Yesteryear on hold at the library. I also have Hooked on hold at the library. Some ones I'm gonna read soon, probably Naive Super and The Girls by they're by different people. I'll put pictures up. I still need to read How to Kill Your Family. I need to read Intermezzo. That's one I talked about last year. I'm definitely gonna read This Woven Kingdom. There's so many. I need to get through my 26 book books to read in 2026, but I also want to read a total of 75 books this year, and I'm only at like 30. So really need to get on that. But yeah, so that's all I have for this. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you soon with a June reading wrap up. Bye! Okay, can you hear me now? Again, really hope autofocus is back on. And I am wearing a shirt. Let me put like a jacket on so I don't look insane.